Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/entitled parents to find the worst of the worst parents who feel so entitled that they will even poison their children just to prove a point. If you enjoy, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Now, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? I witnessed an entitled mother getting destroyed. I saw this today and I cannot stop laughing. I was traveling in my city metro. It wasn't really crowded at the time, but all of the seats were occupied. Still, you could freely stand without being humped by a stranger. There was this kid sitting in the reserved seats, the one for people with handicaps, pregnant women, and old people. Definitely not your moms of 2-year-olds. He was probably 14 or 15, I don't know. He is the hero of the story here. Then the one at our stop, our entitled mother comes in. She has this cute little child who is trying to keep up with his mom's pace. Entitled mother instantly sees our hero sitting at the reserved seat and just stares at him. I guess this was her way to make people automatically give away their seats or something. The kid didn't move though. This probably irked the entitled mother a lot, I guess, cause she moved towards the kid with heavy steps. She comes near him, stops, and again does the stare. And yet, the kid doesn't budge. And then she starts screaming. If she didn't have the whole compartment's attention earlier, well, she had it now. She starts berating the kid for sitting in a reserved seat and not giving it to someone more deserving, like a mother like herself, with a young child. I don't know what her logic was. The seats aren't reserved for them anyways. She just keeps shouting and screaming and tries to get others' opinion on it. And for a while, people were on her side. And then the kid, out of nowhere, rolls the right side of his jeans up and detaches his artificial leg and holds it in front of the entitled mother. The look on her face was priceless. It looked like she was mortified and embarrassed at the same time. She just backed away silently, and I just got off the next stop. I don't think that was her stop, though. You're my child. I have the right to poison you. I'm allergic to fish and seafood. It's not an anaphylactic type of allergy, thank goodness, so I'm not going to die if I eat some, but I do throw up. I have a stomach ache and a massive headache for a few hours. Enough fish and seafood, and I break out in small red hives all over my arms. My mother didn't believe it, and as a child, I couldn't stand up to her properly. She'd force feed me stuff with seafood or fish just to prove I wasn't allergic, then ignore me when I was sick. One day, she held a dinner party. I was dressed up beautifully and trotted out to parade it before the guests. At the time, I was around 9, precocious for my age, and absolutely fed up with my mother making me sick. When she held out a fish cutlet, fish cooked with vegetables rolled into a ball and covered in batter and then fried for me to eat, I saw my chance. I loudly say, I can't eat that, I'm allergic to fish. And mother's like, no you're not, eat it. And I say, I am allergic, I'll throw up. And no Asian mother will back down in front of guests for fear of looking like she can't discipline her child. My mother grabbed the fish cutlet, shoved it in my mouth, and said in the most firm voice of command, eat. So I ate it. Cut to about 10 minutes later, I go up to my mother and tug on her sari to get attention. I don't feel well. And then I barf all over her, on the expensive carpet, and in full view of all the guests. My mother has a reputation for being a kind, generous, charitable, and very religious woman, so in front of the guests, she couldn't do anything except act sympathetic and send me off to bed to recover. She never made me eat fish or seafood, ever again. Honestly, she got what was coming to her. I don't understand why people can't wrap their head around others having allergies, especially mothers of their own children. Like, do they not care about their children's well-being? You know what? Correction. Of course entitled mothers don't care about their children's well-being. It's all about me, 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 me. Anyway, on to the next story. We're having a sixth child we cannot afford, so we expect you to give us your college fund. I am 19 and my parents' second child. I have three brothers, 21, 13, and 7, and a sister who is 16. We grew up poor and our parents were often dependent on financial help from relatives, friends, and so on for raising us. This is because even though my dad has a mediocre job and my mom doesn't work, they just kept on popping out one kid after the other after the other. My parents are very religious and believe that children are a gift from God, personally, and I think that's total bullshit. My parents' reproductive choices wouldn't bother me if it hadn't caused mine and my siblings' lives to turn to shit while growing up. We never had new clothes or new toys. We had to accept handouts from family members who were better off. We never went out or did anything fun. And to top it up, we were well aware that the rest of the family looked down on us for constantly asking for handouts. Now, my older brother and I have managed to get into good colleges and are looking forward to a future that would be better than our parents' lives. He and I were staring at our parents' place for a while due to COVID lockdown. One morning, my parents called all five of us into the living room. Mom said that she has great news! And the smile that was forming on my face died a quick, pathetic death when she said, "We're pregnant!" I lost my temper. I asked them how they could be so stupid and irresponsible. Do they not have enough financial troubles already that they have to bring another mouth to feed? My older brother tried to calm me down, but I was livid. After a lifetime of scarcity because of my parents' stupidity, they still haven't learned their lesson. I asked them how they plan to provide for the kid. My dad told me I would have to give up all the money our great uncle had left for me. He left all five of us some money which we could only access when we turned 18. I, of course, said hell no. That money would help pay for my college expenses, and he called me selfish for not being there for family. And I told them if they couldn't provide for the kid, they should get an abortion. My mom started crying and calling me a heartless monster. Dad told me he was disgusted with me, and I told them there was no way I was going to pay for their stupidity, and the only thing I'd be willing to pay for is a termination. What I was really worried about was my siblings' lives getting even worse. My older brother and I have escaped our parents' clutches, but the others, especially my younger sister, will be expected to help take care of this baby. No teenager deserves to have their adolescence ruined by diapers and a screaming baby. I know what it's like, as I had to go through that. It was expected of me to be an unpaid nanny to my younger brothers and sister. My older brother could go out with his friends and have fun, but I had to stay home and help give baths and feed the toddlers. I decided to get some family members involved so they could talk some sense into my parents. I called my mom's maternal cousin. She's one of my favorite people. When I told her that mom and dad were having another kid, she reacted with, "What? Again?" And I told her everything and how they expected me to hand over my inheritance, and she said she was going to speak to my parents and told me not to sign over a damn thing. I promised her I wouldn't, and of course I won't. I also called two of my first cousins, one of whom was an accountant, so she could explain to my parents how much of a financial liability this baby is going to be, and try to convince them to either abort or give it up for adoption. I moved out of my parents' home a few days ago. I was going to stay there till the lockdown was relaxed, but I just can't bear to listen to my mom's nagging about how this baby is a blessing and that I want to kill it. But I've moved into a friend's basement for minimal rent. My mom's cousin paid them a visit about a week ago and tried to tell them they weren't doing this child any favors by bringing it into a life of poverty. My mom was very rude to my aunt and told her, "A woman who chose to remain barren will never understand a mother's love." My aunt never wanted kids nor had one. One of the reasons she's my favorite. My dad told her to get out, and Aunt told me there was nothing she could do, but she did try, and I didn't blame her. The cousin tried to explain the economic impact this kid would have, and my mom cried about how everyone was trying to take away her baby. The intervention didn't do shit, so now I've decided to cut contact with my parents. I just can't watch my family slide further and further into a hellhole. I'll be maintaining contact with my sister just to make sure my parents can't brainwash her. My older brother is going to stay in touch with all of them, which is a good thing, as he can act as a link between me and the other siblings if my parents ever forbid them from talking with me. Otherwise, I am done with all these people. And wait, there's an update to this story. Let's go read it. Update. We're having a sixth child we can't afford, so we expect you to give us your college fund. Yesterday afternoon, I got a call from my older brother. He told me that my mom has miscarried. This is hardly surprising as she's in her 40s. I felt a huge wave of relief wash over me. My siblings' lives would not be worsened by my parents' insistence on adding another mouth to feed on an already tight budget. My sister would not be asked to give up her inheritance so they could have money for the new baby. My brother told me my mom had been crying, and while I did feel bad for her, I was still glad to hear about the miscarriage. I feel like we all dodged a huge bullet. Bro asked me to move back in for a while to help comfort my mom. I told him I wasn't because 1, my college would reopen in a few days, and 2, I'm done with all the family drama. However, I did agree to come visit my mom, if only out of courtesy. In the evening, I went over to my parents' place. I took chocolate chip muffins for my mom, which I know she likes. My sister greeted me at the door and told me Mom had been in bed all day. After greeting my dad, I went into their bedroom. Mom was sitting up on the bed, and I told her I was sorry about what happened, and placed the muffin on the bedside table. She looked at me angrily, then threw the muffins at me. She screamed at me that she had lost her baby because of me. She said I'd caused her the stress, and it's what caused her to miscarry. She said I was probably glad her baby was dead, which is true, but of course I didn't point that out. She called me a witch and said that I'd wished this upon her. She was screaming so loudly all my siblings and my dad came rushing to the bedroom. She yelled at me to get out, and well, I did. I hugged my older brother and sister before I left. My dad told me my mom was right, that my cruelty caused her to miscarry. I told him that was a grossly unfair accusation and reminded him that, at Mom's age, it was quite common to miscarry. Then I walked out. I am so done with my parents and their stupidity. I can only hope they won't try for another kid. Someone in the comments says, of course they'll try for another one, then demand your money as compensation for having killed the last one. That's a batshit argument, and you should be ready for it. They've shown you who they are now, and there's no reason not to believe them. Most especially, don't let them know anything about your finances lest they use that information to calculate the demand that will cause you the most pain if you comply. Entitled Mom Brings Along Her Kid to Work Unannounced. Background: my company sets up a booth at a carnival, when we engage several part-timers to assist at the carnival. These part-timers are required to go around the carnival ground to distribute flyers, share information, and direct visitors to our booth. So here's the story. On the day of our carnival, after setting up, I met with the part-timers to prepare them for the day. Out of all the part-timers, only Entitled Mother was late. She mentioned she'll be 15 minutes late, but it was closer to an hour. As we could not wait, I briefed the others and deployed them for the day. When Entitled Mother arrived, she had her kids in tow, 5 and 6 years old. Due to the job nature, we can't have her lugging her kid around while working, and the Entitled Mother knew this. My husband couldn't handle, insert kid's name here, so I had to bring her along. I can't have you working with your kid. It's not my problem. If you don't like it, get someone to watch over him. My colleague, who was watching this unfold, offered to watch over her kid. He was only required to help out during the start and the end of the carnival, so was entirely free during the event. I thought, alright, since he was free. I can watch over her, get her some food, watch some shows, play some games, but you'll need to pay me. Whatever, but I'm not paying you for your time, only for the kid. And then the co-worker, grinning an evil grin, said, sure. I was flabbergasted. Coworker told me not to worry, he had a plan. Once Entitled Mother started working, Coworker brought Entitled Mother's kids systematically through every single booth throughout the entire carnival. It was the kids' dream come true, and I believe her best day ever. Whatever she wanted to eat, he bought. She saw a lot of the shows and won many prizes, and since he had a staff pass, he didn't even need to pay for the shows, only the kid. At the end of the carnival, when we were clocking the hours worked, Entitled Mom had the nerve to insist being paid in full even though she was late for almost an hour. She said that because of various reasons, mainly due to her kid, she would have been early. She was ranting and I didn't really pay attention, as I was tired and I don't decide to pay. But it was about how I will never understand as I don't have kids, and how she deserves it because she was a mother. My manager nearby winked at me and turned over. He was very pleased about the day's sale and how we were very supportive of her, and we should give kids the best. He told me not to worry about the hours she worked, and Entitled Mom will be paid in full. After hearing this, not a single thanks from EM. She declared in a loud voice, "At least someone understands." She had this condescending and victorious look on her face. Thankfully, it did not last long. The sucker punch for Entitled Mom was that Entitled Mom's kid spent roughly $100, and with her pay at $15 an hour for 8 hours is $120, she made a whopping $20 for the whole day. Coworker made a point to keep track of the expenses, receipts, tickets, stubs, and so on, and took a ton of photos. Of course, Entitled Mother threw a fit, but with the amount of evidence and her daughter vouching for all the fun she had, Entitled Mother had no case except to yell, "I'm not paying for this!" grabbed her daughter and stormed off. We look forward on payday when we issue a check of $20 after subtracting the amount her daughter spent. And we have another update over here. Update. Entitled Mother brings along our kid to work unannounced. The reason for the delay in the update is that Entitled Mom instructed us to mail her check. Usually for payment, HR will call the part-timers, confirm the amount of check details, and work out the schedule for any upcoming work. From what I heard from HR, she conveniently left out the portion about her kids' expenses, which she promised to pay. Quoting her, "I expect a check of $120 to be in my mail." Though we were all a little bit bummed that we were unable to carry out our plan of issuing her with a $20 check, life goes on and we intend to not engage for Entitled Mother for any work in the future. As with all checks we issue, we will only be able to account payee only. Checks are stamped in big bold letters, non-negotiable, AC, payee only. This is important because last Thursday, HR received a call from the Entitled Mother demanding that we reissue another check to her name because she didn't receive the check in her mail. Furthermore, she requested someone in the company to personally deliver it to her so that she doesn't get lost in the mail again. For such incidents, we'll check the accounts to ensure the account is not transferred to the bank to void the check. However, for Entitled Mother, we noticed the amount was successfully transferred on Wednesday. There was another long phone call between HR and Entitled Mother, and I guess by this time, HR had given up trying to reason with the Entitled Mother, and she looked sympathetic when she transferred the call to me, telling me she demands to speak with you. I'm sorry. I'm in charge of part-timer training and deployment. I sighed and picked up the receiver. "As I was telling HR, I did not receive the check in my mail, which you promised you mailed out last Friday." "Look, just calm down. There's no need to shout. I'm sure we can figure it out. My manager checked with the bank and your check was cleared. The money was transferred into your account." "Do not tell me your problem. I just need to know when you'll come by my place and give the check to me." "What?" "HR promised you'll give the check to me." "Let me check with her about the arrangement." The Entitled Mom started yelling again, but I put her on hold. Maybe some soothing elevator music would calm her down. Probably not, though. Checking with HR, she explained to the Entitled Mother about this situation, and the Entitled Mother didn't listen. She insists that HR bring down the check because I promised her HR would go. This was entirely false. I did not contact her. Picking up the call. "Hi, I've checked with HR. So when will you come by?" Look, there's nothing we can do. We cannot issue a new check because the old check cleared. She started yelling again, so I put her on hold for a bit before speaking with her again. Did this a couple of times to shut her up. Stop yelling and start listening. I can hang up on you because you were paid. As far as we know, the company issued a cross-check in your name, which was cleared. You should know that a cross-check is right. Maybe it's the postman that took it or some stranger stole it from my letterbox. And me doing a mental facepalm. Even if they stole it, they cannot bank it in. Look, we don't have time for this anymore. If you're unsatisfied with the resolution, please seek legal recourse. She started raising her voice about being an employee and employee rights and suing. I wish I could tell you guys I did that, but in actual fact I just listened to her ramble on for a bit and told her that I can't do anything and that she's a freelancer, which are not covered under employment rights. If she wanted to pursue this, she could seek assistance with small claims court. And trying to change the topic and end the conversation. Anyway, the bank engaged a company to screen the candidates, and they called me asking about you. She sounded a bit happier. Really? What did they ask? You told them about my good performance, right? Yeah, I did, sure. I received the call the week after the carnival. They asked about her job role, job performance, strengths, and area for improvement, which I answered based on facts. Entitled Mother is competent despite her entitlement. But the final question was, if given the chance, would you hire her again? No matter how I tried, I really found it hard to say yes to this question, so I responded with a negative after a brief hesitation. The caller was kind of taken aback. I guess you could understand his confusion, as I've answered previous questions positively. When he probed further, I kept it brief and said it was her sense of entitlement. Thank you all for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. I will see you all next time. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.